I watched it.
Call the planning and zoning meeting to order. Will everybody still please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have roll call. Alex Tomorrow.
Here.
Mark Zanny.
Here.
Herb Bukowski is absent. John Matthews.
Here.
Jeff Spink.
Here.
Jeanette Holdeman.
Here.
Rocky Hempel.
Here.
Will Smith.
Here.
And I'm present. Steve Rosenthal. We have 8 members present. Do I have a motion on July minutes?
I make a motion that we accept the July minutes as read.
Okay. Will second. We have a motion on the floor to approve July minutes as written. Any discussion?
I have one change. On the approval of the minutes, it said that I seconded the motion, but I'm pretty sure I abstained because I wasn't here for the previous one, so I don't know.
I was wondering about the vote too, and I figured you guys would know because I thought most
It was
of it.
hard to hear with the masks on.
Yeah.
So,
And
I
it's not a
didn't
big,
have the notes.
it's not a big deal, but I'm pretty sure I abstained, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of questioning on that vote too, but I didn't know. I figured you guys who were here would know. So, okay, so we have the one correction, and you accept the correction, Wolf and
Yes.
okay. Any other discussion? Have a vote on approval with the one correction. Alex Tomorrow,
Yes.
Mark Danny,
Yes.
John Matthews,
Abstain.
Jeff Spink,
Yes.
Jeanette Holdeman,
Yes.
Rocky Hempel,
Yes.
Will Smith,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion carries 7 to 1 abstain. Secretary's report.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We have one item on the consent agenda. We also will be hearing case number 62, which we heard last month. The applicant was not here. That's for Trinity Daycare. When it comes time for that, I will just give the brief overview. We've opened the public hearing and everything, so not much to be done there other than to vote. We have one item that has been continued to next month. And then we will have one special use permit that we'll hear this evening, and then we'll hear the text amendment that was tabled from last month. So with that, I also would like to bring up, I think it's time for a work session, maybe in October, just one of those refreshers where we go over some of the highlights of being a planning commissioner, like the golden factors and such. Would October, I don't have a specific date set, we'll look at the calendar, but is that far enough out that we could get something
Should be. Yeah.
set up? Would you prefer it to be a Wednesday evening before the planning commission, or do you want it to be separate from the planning commission so we're not in a hurry?
I like the latter myself.
Yeah, if we got a lot to discuss, I'd rather
Yeah.
see the latter. But-
Okay.
Otherwise, we're rushed all the time.
Yeah, right. If we have a lot to go over, then I would say that would be my idea. Well, separate? Separate? Separate?
Okay.
Everybody agree with separate?
Yes.
All right, I will send out an email with a couple of dates, and
Okay.
we will get something set up. That's all that I have for the agenda.
I do have a question what you said on the one application. We opened up the public hearing portion, but since the applicant wasn't here, we never let anybody speak for it.
Right, so I'm just saying, we've already given the report, we've opened the public hearing, we can continue the
Okay.
public
We
hearing.
just continue the public
Yeah.
hearing? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, okay.
Yes, Alex?
I mentioned last time about fire hydrants being an issue in the county. If you drive around the county to the subdivisions that are being built, there's sometimes just one fire hydrant every 7 or 8 homes. So I'd really like to bring that up, see if there is like a regulation, or is it based on the water department?
We
It's
have,
based on the water department.
Water
Whether they have
districts
the
are
water
not
provided.
provided if they don't have enough flow to
Well, I think that's something we should talk about because fire protection is a major issue.
well, we can put it on our work session then.
Okay. Considering we're mostly volunteer
I know you haven't,
firefighters.
I know you're new, but we've talked this thing through so many times.
I'd love to hear it though.
I know you weren't here, so we'll bring it up again.
And then I have another question. With the news that was brought to us this morning by the county commission, I didn't know if it's something we could talk about regarding, and it was brought up, I know, when the meetings were going on that were all public related to what's it called? When we were, do what?
Sand plan?
No, the big plan for the county.
Oh,
Comprehensive plan. Okay, when the comprehensive plan was going on, we had all those public meetings, and I know it was brought up in multiple meetings regarding industrial businesses being located in certain areas,
Yes.
and the roads not being up to par, the locations, the access points, who would be responsible for that and everything. Like in Leavenworth and Tonganoxie, they've made specific, or Lansing, they've made specific industrial parks that are built for industrial businesses. Well, some of the industrial businesses that we have in the county or zoned areas are not exactly capable of maybe having industrial there right now. So I don't know if we could talk about that too. Basically, roads, entrance and exit points, fire. I mean, fire is a huge deal to me in industrial areas. Noise, everything along those lines. I don't know how we missed it when we were talking about all that stuff, but I think that is a pretty big deal.
We talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
We talked about it a lot, but I don't think we talked about the exact specifics of what should come along with an industrial area.
Yeah, we don't have that many industrial areas in the county. Most of them are in the cities, so we wouldn't have any control over those. But you can, I mean, we can add it to the work session in some way.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be more than one work session. I think
Yeah.
I can hold your attention for about an hour and a half, 2 hours tops.
Yeah.
Before
That's all we want to.
before we all start getting
Right.
really.
Okay. So maybe we can get a couple of work sessions then through the time and get it all covered then. So.
And I'd really like, and I don't know if this is a question I think I wanted to ask David, was can we get information what the county commission wants to see in a way? That's something I kind of wanted to ask him, but I see he's not here tonight.
So the Planning Commission's responsibility is to take the evidence before you and to make a decision on that evidence based upon our regulations. And my job is to give you the tools that you need in order to make that decision. That's why you get a staff report that clearly states what the regulations are. You know, we go through those golden factors. So that's my job, to give that to you.
Yep.
And then you weigh that information along with the testimony that you receive at the Planning Commission to make your recommendation. The Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners are two separate bodies, and that is very intentional. The Board of County Commissioners are obviously elected officials, and they have, I don't say this in a negative connotation anyway, but they have an agenda. You don't. You are a planning commissioner, and your responsibility is to weigh the case before you based upon our regulations and the testimony that you receive in conjunction with the regulations, not testimony that is based upon emotional feelings or anything like that, only things that our regulations tell you that you should be considering. So I'd be hesitant to say, let's have a meeting where the Board of County Commissioners tells us exactly what they want to see, because that could potentially skew things at the Planning Commission level. And frankly, that almost makes the Planning Commission not necessary.
I'm not saying specifically them give ideas, but I think if we don't have somebody here that legally can tell us, hey, that's okay, that's not okay, it could affect our decision, which then affects it going to them. And if they don't, let's say for some reason don't have a legal representative there, then it could affect them.
So again, that's your staff's responsibility.
They always have David there, and
Yeah.
we usually have David. I guess
Yes.
he's not
He didn't
here
make the
today.
commission meeting today, neither.
Yeah, but usually David's there for the commissioners too, almost all the time. So anyway, but, I mean, these are all things we've been discussing for many, many years, so you just haven't been here to hear.
I know, I just
Yeah.
jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah, right, so, I mean, it's
Here I am.
no harm in bringing you up, because we have a lot of new people here right now, and that haven't heard the discussions like I've had for, 26 years, or however long I've been on here,
You've been here older or longer than I am
so.
old.
Yeah, a lot, and I've heard all of them, so.
Have you been listening to the
So,
meetings online?
I listen to almost every single meeting that the
Okay.
county has, yeah.
Okay. All right, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. We have a motion on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the consent agenda be approved for the preliminary and final plan for 9 Mile Creek, DEV 20-088-89.
Second. Motion on the floor is second to approve the agenda as written. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Alex Tomorrow,
Yes.
Mark Danny,
Yes.
John Matthews,
Yes.
Jeff Spink,
Yes.
Jeanette Holloman,
Yes.
Rocky Hempel,
Yes.
Will Smith,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion carries 8-0. Okay, any declarations? Not, we'll have the first item we're going to hear, and that's case number DEV 20-062, special use permit for a child care facility on a tract of land in the southeast quarter, section 9, township 11, range 22 east at 6 p.m. Kenwood County, Kansas, also known as 16928 Evans Road. We've already had the staff report. Upon opening the public comment portion of this hearing, those of you who wish to speak either for or against this item upon recognition will give your name and address each time you get to speak. This is necessary since the public hearing is being recorded. The public comment portion of this hearing is now open. Will the applicant please come forward? Podium, please. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Andrew Heskett, and do you want the address of the facility or where I actually live?
The facility is fine.
16928 Evans Road, Baser, Kansas.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
I'm Jennifer Pierce, and same address, 16928 Evans Road in Baser, Kansas.
Okay. All right. You guys have you seen the staff report?
No, I did not.
Believe-
Okay.
Mr. Clemens sent it to you?
Yeah, I looked it over.
Okay, so
Do
you
you have
have
any
seen the
questions
staff
on it
report.
or anything? Do you have anything to add to it? Okay, there was 9 conditions. Did you see all them and review all them? Are you okay with all them?
Yeah. I think-
You want us to read them over to you?
Yeah.
Read them for us, please.
The special use permit shall be limited to a period of 20 years. The business shall be limited to the hours of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. The special use permit shall be limited to 28 employees. You shall adhere to the following memorandums from Mr. McGaha and Mitch Pleak with Olson. You should have received those. No signage is allowed in the right-of-way. You're not requesting any signage. If you do request signage, that will require a sign permit. No on-street parking is allowed. The applicant shall provide a certificate of liability insurance for $1 million per occurrence, with Leavenworth County listed as a policyholder. The SUP shall be limited to the narrative dated May 13th, 2020, which was submitted with this application, and the applicant shall comply with all local, state, and federal rules and regulations that may be applicable.
Okay, those all sound good
Yes,
to
we
you?
comply.
Okay. I have a question, maybe of the applicant or staff. Sewer, is there a lagoon? Is that their waste?
Yes, there is a lagoon. Actually, we've added a second lagoon last year, so
Okay.
to comply
I know
with
when
the
I
state
looked it up on
requirements.
aerial, there was 1 lagoon, but there is 2 lagoons? Okay.
Yes, we have expanded it to 2 lagoons.
2 lagoons. Those are state inspected, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was just wondering about that. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one question. How many employees do you currently have?
At the facility, at the site that we're on, 21.
Okay. So 20 years is a long time, so you don't see 28 being the max that you would ever have there. You know, looking out 20 years is hard to do, but...
Not without growing into another facility.
Okay.
We're done, we're capped out there.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question. You have 110 children. How about right now?
We're at our full capacity.
You are.
We're only licensed for 108 by KDHE.
Okay,
So yeah, we have full enrollment right now.
all right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? You have anything to add?
The only thing I'd say is that we've been approved for this 6 years prior to this, so and nothing's really changed from that. The facilities are still the same, and we still have the same amount, license for the same amount of kids. So it just seems like it's just going through the motion at this point.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. We will now hear from individuals present who wishing to speak in favor of this request. In favor? Now hear from individuals present wishing to speak in opposition. In opposition. Is there any additional information to be presented?
No, sir.
The public comment portion of this hearing is now closed. Are there any questions or comments, commissioners?
No.
Well, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. I move that the proposed renewal special use permit as outlined in case DEV 20-062 be approved, that the findings on the golden factors as set forth in staff report and adopted by the Planning Commission, substantiated by the facts, testimony, and evidence presented, be adopted by this board, that the conditions set forth in the staff report be made part of this special renewal, this renewal special use permit.
Second.
By Rocky. That's seconded. We have a motion on the floor with a second to approve case number DEV 20-062, the special use permit for a child care facility with staff recommendations. Is there any further discussion? Not hearing any, I'll have a roll call vote. Alex Tomorrow,
Yes.
Mark Danny,
Yes.
John Matthews.
Abstain.
That's right, you weren't here to hear the first part, were you?
No.
Jeff Spink,
Yes.
Jeanette Holloman,
Yes.
Rocky Himpel,
Yes.
Wolf Smith,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion carries 7-1 abstain. The Board of County Commissioners will consider this item on September 2nd, 2020 at 9 a.m. in the Leavenworth County Courthouse. Any person wishing to file a protest petition must contact the Planning and Zoning Office. Protest petitions must be filed with Leavenworth County within 2 weeks of this meeting. To be valid, the protest petitions must be signed by owners of 20% of the land area in the notification area. Good luck to you, and the Board of County Commissioners will consider this item on September the 2nd.
September 2nd. Right?
September the 2nd.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought I heard December.
Oh, no.
No.
Mask.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next one. Kennel is being continued, so case number DEV 20-090, consideration application for special use permit for auto repair shop, lot 42 Westbrook subdivision, phase 2, subdivision of Leavenworth County, Kansas, also known as 20271 167th Street, Leavenworth. I think that's Baser, isn't it? Request submitted by Ben and Ray Brassfield. Does require a special of public hearing. Public comment portion is limited to 3 minutes per person. Staff report.
Mr. Chairman, this is case number DEV-20-090. This is a special use permit request for an automotive repair shop for Mr. Ben Brassfield and Mr. Ray Brassfield, located at 20271 167th Street. The applicants have been operating an automotive repair shop for the last several years out of a shop that is existing on the property. They are the two full-time business owners, and they indicate that the hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Until recently, there have been quite a bit of cars parked on the grass and on the parking area. It appeared that this was an operation that was becoming overwhelming for this parcel. The applicants have cleaned up a number of this. I believe that the last time we checked, there were no vehicles parked outside of the garage any longer. However, that has been an issue in the very recent past. I'm going to go through the factors to be considered for a special use permit. The first thing that we consider is the character of the neighborhood. This neighborhood is primarily a rural residential subdivision. As far as subdivisions in Leavenworth County go, this is a fairly densely populated one. There are 35 homes within a 1,000-foot radius. Most of the parcels are 2 acres or less in size, just like this one. Zoning and uses of nearby property. Again, the surrounding properties are located within the Westbrook subdivision, and the majority of residences are located on parcels between 2 and 3 acres, and the zoning district is RR 2.5. The suitability for the property for the uses to which it's been restricted. It's suited for rural residential subdivisions, and while this use is allowed with a special use permit, one of the things we have to consider is how it's going to impact the neighboring properties. Staff feels it is not well suited. This property is not well suited for an automotive repair shop for the following reasons. The property is 2 acres in size, and all adjoining and adjacent properties are also of similar size. The nature of the business will create additional traffic and additional noise. They receive substantial deliveries throughout the week and several a day. They also have traffic coming and going in order to pick up and drop off cars. And again, this is located in a subdivision with an internal road. So we are impacting several properties. Extent to which removal of the restrictions will detrimentally affect nearby property owners. Again, there's an increase in traffic and noise within this fully developed subdivision. The business receives several deliveries from auto parts stores each day, and staff has visited the site and has determined that to date the operations have not been contained within the shop dedicated to the repair of vehicles. Again, in the last few days, they have been able to clean some of that up. However, there was a substantial number of vehicles on the parking or on the grass and such. The applicant also states that they perform repairs for the Basehor-Linwood School District, which leads staff to believe that could be a substantial increase to the amount of traffic, bus traffic and such at this location. The fifth factor is the length of time the property has been vacant as zoned. It is not vacant. It's being used as a rural residential, which is what it is designed to be. Relative gain to the economic development, public health, safety, and welfare. The proposed use, of course, provides income for the applicant. In conformance to the comprehensive plan. The future land use map indicates this area is low-density residential, which is, again, what it's being used for. And staff recommendation is for the denial of the special use permit. Again, staff's recommendation is denial. Staff has offered conditions in the event that the Planning Commission wishes to recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners. Mr. Brassfields are here, or Mr. Brassfield, I guess is how that would go, are both here and will answer any questions you may have, as will staff.
Any questions of staff?
I have a few questions. On the staff comments, it says the hours of operations are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. But if you flip the page over, it says in staff recommendations, business shall be limited to hours of 8 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, 8 to noon on Saturday. I don't know if that...
So the staff comments that is essentially summarizing what the applicants have provided us. That's when they typically operate. However, sometimes they operate outside of those, and it's not at all uncommon for automotive repair shops to be open on Saturdays. So when we're offering conditions, we try to make conditions that are reasonable. We don't want to put people in a box that then they have to turn around 6 months later and come back and say, oh, hey, I needed to make this change, and then we come back before the board.
I just want to make sure there was no discrepancies there, and then also, do you guys actually work on buses, or is it just specific vehicles?
Service vehicles.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to them when they come up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take our,
Okay.
right now it's only staff.
When I built that building,
Sir, you'll get your chance. Okay, I'm sorry. Any other questions of staff? Okay, where am I at? Moving this. Upon opening the public comment portion of this hearing, those of you who wish to speak either for or against this item upon recognition will give your name and address each time you get to speak. This is necessary since the public hearing is being recorded. The public comment portion of this hearing is now open. Will the applicant please come forward? Now, sir. Please state your name and address for the record also.
Ben Brassfield. My physical address is 18090 Evans Road, Tongi, Kansas.
Ray Brassfield, 20271 167th Street.
Okay, go ahead.
I built that home, my wife and I did, in 1990. And we've been there ever since. I built the building in 93 just to have some place to store my equipment, to do lawnmower repairs for myself and as such. A couple of years ago, well, for 16 years, he and I worked for Sutton Coleman Automotive. I was a manager. He was my late tech, and you probably already know that Mr. Coleman lost the business due to taxes, and we were thrown out. I attempted to get the company building. It was in litigation. We had no place to go. There's nothing to rent in the area. We're supported by a lot of folks, and this young lady, I know they've received a lot of accreditation from people in the neighborhood. So, and as far as the door is concerned, it's only a 12-foot door, so I couldn't put a big vehicle in there. I put that in there statistically so I wouldn't put anything big in. Could never do it. We tried to keep the place as clean as possible. Yes, but it did get away from us, especially when the pandemic hit, because people decided, okay, I'm not working elsewhere, I'm working at home, so they would just drop vehicles off. I have now educated numerous accounts in regards to that. You know, you just don't drop things off. Call us, make an appointment, in and out in less than a day, or 2 days tops. So.
I do this to support my wife, who is sick right now. She has rheumatoid arthritis, and every month I have to take her and get an infusion. That infusion is $20,000. So I pay almost $2,000 a month. She gets every month, or $24,000 a year in medical bills for my wife. My son is autistic, so I have to pay for him too. I'm just trying to make a living. I'm sorry if I messed up everything. I've cleaned up everything. I went around to all my neighbors, and I've done everything. I don't want to have any more complaints against me. I just come and go. I've done the pipe. I've done everything on her list. She's asked me to do a recommendation. There's only 2 employees and a half. I don't have a septic tank on my property that goes to my building. I used to be a volunteer fireman for 8 years. I got hurt. I've done a lot for this community. I would like to continue to do a lot more for this community. The school district does not come as often as you think they do. They only come maybe once a month. I don't work on any buses. I don't work on anything big. It's all small vehicles. And I've cleaned up everything. I have pictures. I want to work. I just want to pay for my wife and support my family at this time.
Also, when I built that building, I made an earth contact so that, 1, it'd be insulated, 2, to eliminate sound. The building is well insulated, 1 probably over insulated. I have 1 garage door, 1 walk-in door, and 1 window. Virtually no sound goes out of that
out of that place. Plus, it's below street level. My house faces east on 167, and the building is below it. And the lower driveway that was there when we built the house for the lower garage, basement garage. So
I've read the staff recommendations, and I've done everything that she's asked. I've taken pictures. I've done the parking plan. I got, when they started coming, people started complaining, or a lady complained. I turned around. The next weekend, I sold almost all those cars off that upper lot. They were all gone. Everything in the yard is gone. There's no cars outside. They're all inside, stored at nighttime.
Okay, anything else? Any questions?
And when you do work for the school district, you got bus problems, where do you work on the buses?
I'm sorry.
Where do you work on the buses?
We don't work on buses. We have nothing to do with
School
buses.
district.
I know that.
Just
Just
strictly
vans.
their service vehicles. And they're, all like the foreman's vehicles, cars. Nothing bigger than a pickup.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Any other questions, applicant? Thank you. We'll now hear from individuals present wishing to speak in favor of this request. In favor? Please state your name and address for the record.
Hey, I'm James Hill, 20270 167th Street. My property adjoins Mr. Bradfield's property in the back. I'm the closest neighbor, and I have no problem at all with him being there. Our neighborhood is somewhat different. Was developed 30 years ago. I've been there 30 years as well as Mr. Bradfield. Only time a house is available in that neighborhood is if somebody dies. And so he has helped out everybody in that neighborhood, including the one that turned him in. So, I mean, we all just love it. It's like an extended family in that neighborhood. And I have no problem at all with him being there. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this request?
I'm Roseanne Hendricks at 20025 167th Street, and I too have been in the neighborhood for 30 years. Like Mike said, the only time people move is when somebody passes away. The complaint of FedEx trucks and what's the other one? UPS trucks that go down the neighborhood. They don't even go to Gus's house. They go on down the street to the other neighbors. And with the pandemic going on, everyone is ordering online. So I don't even know why that was such an issue that came up about that. I mean, myself, I get packages delivered. So I thought that was kind of, I mean, everyone's ordering online because of that. And as far as the neighborhood, I love having an auto mechanic in my neighborhood because it's convenient, and all the neighbors except, I guess, the one use Gus right now, and it's convenient, and he's fair, and he's good, and I'm all in favor of Gus staying there.
If I may.
Thank you, sir. We'll get back to you if we have any questions.
We do have one comment.
Yeah. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this request?
We have one caller.
Okay, go ahead. Are they in favor?
We don't ask.
Don't, okay.
Nobody, so you can go on.
Going. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this request? In opposition? Is there any additional information to be presented?
Commissioners, I would like to clarify, the staff report does not mention FedEx or UPS trucks. It's auto delivery
Right.
from, Napa Auto Parts and O'Reilly and such. Yes, everybody receives Amazon packages. So just to clarify that.
Might be it.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay? All right. The public comment portion of this hearing is now closed. Are there any questions or comments, commissioners? Sir, you had something to add?
Yes.
Please come up.
Couple things. One, there was a comment in regards to, they thought it brought down the value of the house of the neighborhood. One of our neighbors was one of my customers passed away. The house went for $20,000 over the quoted pricing of what it was worth. And unfortunately, we lost him, and he was a good neighbor and a good customer too. But, they say that they thought we had brought down the value of the neighborhood. We've done what needed to be done to clean it up. And we tried our best to try to make everybody happy.
Okay.
So,
All right. Thank you. We did have letters and emails for and against the item. Did you all have a chance to read all of them? We had some
Yes.
here this morning, today when we got here too, as well as in our packet. I wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to review all of them. Are there any questions or comments, commissioners?
I do have one question. Across the board with these vehicle places, are they all pretty well even with what kind of vehicles they can store amount-wise? I mean, is that...
A lot of it
Can
has...
we call it all, make it all fair somehow?
I mean, one of the things that is important to remember is every application is different. If we have a 40-acre parcel, that's different than a 2-acre parcel.
Right.
So as far as making it fair and just having a set number, that's difficult to do because, well, frankly, we would definitely go towards the more strict version of that. And then if we had somebody up here with 40 or 60 acres, then the commission might say, oh, well, this doesn't seem fair to this applicant because they have so much land. So when we make these recommendations, it's based upon the character of the neighborhood and also the actual application and what the applicants themselves have asked for.
Usually on a special use permit like this, we required everything stored inside or behind screen. So those common would be that. I know that actually in the county commissioners, not today, but the last month, they had a question on when businesses outgrow the area, and they had a pretty good discussion on that, and that's probably something we probably also should talk at a work session on, because there's a lot of business that start off small, but they grow so much and they have so much business, they outgrow the area where they're in and need to go into a commercial area like that. So it is something that something we've had discussions on all through the time I've been on here about when is a business too big to be considered an in-home business. Yeah, so. Any other questions or comments, commissioners, or I'll entertain a motion?
I'd like to make a comment, and I'd like to have staff, if they'd read the 13 conditions, because you can probably read them easier than I can. If you would, please.
Yep. The special use permit shall be limited to a period of 3 years. The business shall be limited to the hours of 8 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. Saturday. The applicant shall pay a traffic impact fee of $1,384.82. The special use permit shall be limited to 2 full-time employees and 1 part-time employee. The applicant shall update the site plan to indicate a designated parking area. The parking area shall be sized for not more than 5 vehicles. All vehicles shall be either contained within the shop or on the designated parking area. There shall be no storage of parts or junk vehicles outside. All floor drains connected to the septic system shall be capped or plugged, if applicable. Other drains shall collect all automotive fluids for proper disposal. There shall be no on-site retail sales. The applicant shall adhere to the Public Works Memorandum and the Emergency Management Memorandum. No signage is allowed in the right-of-way. No signage is requested with a special use permit. No on-street parking shall be allowed. The special use permit shall be limited to the narrative which was dated June 25th, 2020 and submitted with this application. And the special use permit shall comply with all local, state, and federal rules and regulations that may be applicable.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Need a motion?
I would make a motion to approve this, to approve the special user permit for 3 years.
All the same recommendations?
With the recommendations.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion on the floor and a second to approve the special use permit. Case number DEV 20-090, special use permit for auto repair shop on Lot 24 Westbrook subdivision with staff recommendations 1 through 13. Any discussion?
Kind of going back to what you talked about, Steve, and when does a business become too big for the area? This is a good example of one, and to me it's borderline, and I commend them for having good relationship with your neighbors. And I know a lot of times we do these for 5, and staff is recommending 3, but I'd almost put her to 2. And I don't know if you guys would be willing to look at doing it at 2, and really encourage them to maybe look at some options out there for going into a commercial place. It's only 1 year, and I'm not saying I'd vote no with it to 3, but I'm just throwing it out there as a discussion point to consider maybe doing it for 2 years.
I'm having a bit of problem with that just during this whole pandemic thing. Things are so different. I'm sure that there are possibilities for some availability for maybe a Butler building type environment, but it might take 3 years to be able to get this organized. I have to tell you honestly, I drove out there, I drove around. I'm glad to hear when the subdivision was built, because it's so unique in itself that everybody has large barns on their property. Some of them have a bunch of stuff there. I'm surprised they're not a business. Some out back has what looks like an event center to me. And so obviously it's quite common in that area to have the larger buildings. I agree we don't need a whole bunch of cars parked outside and things like that. But his environment doesn't look hardly any different than any neighbor he's got out there. It's like everybody's in a small business. I'm sorry. That's what it looked like to me.
Was a motorcycle they mentioned in there?
Go-kart
thing?
Yeah,
Business in there? Do they have a special
Yeah, we've
use
spoken
permit?
with them.
They have a special use permit?
They're working on it.
You're working on it? Yeah.
So I think truly at this moment I would like to stay with the 3 years.
Okay.
Purely because everything is so up in the air. And I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, somewhere it states that you would be looking for a different location at some point. Yeah.
We just, like I said, if we were thrown out of the building, there was nothing in there.
No. No, not right
We
now.
had such a, like him, I started in probably 93, I started coaching up at Field of Dreams. I helped build the fields.
Oh.
I got to know so many people. I've
Yeah.
got so many contacts just in town.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's nothing there as far as commercial property to put a building in.
All right, any other discussion?
And I might add, I visited the site, I think it was Friday afternoon, and I was really impressed with the way your yard looked and around the building also.
Thank you.
On a
think they must have really cleaned up.
It really looks excellent.
He has been worried to death, trust me.
It really looked excellent.
It did.
Well, they got neighbors watching, so remember, if they report you, you'll lose it right then and there.
I'd like to make a comment. How can we justify approving this when our staff says no, deny it? He's been out there running his business without a permit until somebody turned him in.
No, he didn't have a permit.
I thought it said here he didn't have a permit. He's been out
Oh, he
there
didn't?
for many years.
No.
Oh,
See? And
I guess I assumed
no.
there was a renewal.
they talk about 35 homes within 1,000 square feet. That's got to be a subdivision to be that close and have that many houses.
But they're not very close together, John.
Subdivisions are for houses, not for businesses or future businesses.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
So I think we should deny this as per recommendation of staff.
Usually, I'm very supportive of the staff, but having been out there and seen what's going on in his neighborhood, in their neighborhood, it would be an injustice to prohibit him from doing something that someone in the back 40 there is already doing something anyway.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
I understand. I hope they will forgive me, the staff, for doing this, but at this moment, I'm going to stick with an approval.
And I think the conditions, myself, I think the conditions that staff put on pretty well eliminated probably the factors, the golden factors. It goes a long ways towards eliminating that. And having visited the site, I agree with the fact that if you look at the other buildings surrounding, that was my first thought was, you got subdivision, you're doing it. But then when I went out there and looked at the subdivision and seeing how it was set up and how it was there, then I started changing my mind and I said, well, maybe we better take a look at that. So I spent some time out there and looked around the neighborhood. So I'm supportive of it.
Any other comments? Okay, we do have a motion on the floor for approval. Roll call vote. Alex DeMauro.
Yes.
Mark Denny.
Yes.
John Matthews.
No?
And for the reason you stated.
Yes.
Jeff Spink.
Yes.
Jeanette Holman.
Yes.
Rocky Hempel.
Yes.
Will Smith. And I'm going to vote yes, but I'm going to say because it's only 3 years, and I probably will not vote for it again when it comes back because they should be moving forward. So it does pass 7-1. Where's my? The Board of County Commissioners will consider this item on September 2nd, 2020 at 9 a.m. the Leavenworth County Courthouse. Any person filing a protest petition must contact the Planning and Zoning Office. Protest petitions must be filed with Leavenworth County within 2 weeks of this meeting. To be valid, the protest petitions must be signed by at least 20% of the land area notification area. You need to be here on September 2nd, same place, 9 a.m.
That both those or just one?
Well, whoever wants to talk.
Okay. Thank you.
They can definitely change what we voted, so I'll let you know. Okay, last item, case number DV 20-080, application for a text amendment for cross-access easement of Leavenworth County zoning and subdivision regulations. Request submitted by planning and zoning staff. Well, staff report, we actually had that last time too, but
Yeah, Commissioners, this is case number DEV-20-080. Private roads / cross-access easements have been brought before this board a number of times. You all know there's been substantial discussion with the Board of County Commissioners. Last month, you asked me to bring back design criteria and standards. However, based upon direction from the Board of County Commissioners, kind of like I explained last month, I have talked about this with them until I am blue in the face, and they have given me very, very clear direction. My recommendation here is to follow that direction because, again, that's what I have been instructed to do. This board is under no obligation whatsoever to recommend approval of this policy. This board can make changes. If you want to tell me exactly what criteria you want to see, I will take that recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. You can approve it as it is. You can recommend to deny it. You all have spoken very vocally about how you feel about private roads. Mr. DeMoro, this is an example of the Board of County Commissioners has given very, very clear direction on what they want. I've brought that before you, but you are a body that should consider this evidence, and you should make a recommendation based upon your experience as a planning commission. So that's what I'm asking you to do.
You said this is what they want?
Yes.
This is what they want.
Crazy.
Okay. I have a question. You said cluster developments. Does that mean somebody does a cluster development, they cannot have a county-approved road in there?
No, it doesn't mean that at all.
That's kind of the way I read it.
Sure. So it doesn't mean that at all. And I've gone through and I've tried to find some different terminology, and I haven't been super successful. One of the things I looked at calling it was like a private development as opposed to a cluster development. A cluster development is the way that a subdivision would be laid out, and it doesn't necessarily have to have a private road, cross-access easement. Really, when we talk in the comprehensive plan about cluster developments, what we're really talking about are conservation subdivisions. I think it would be more beneficial to use that terminology when we are talking about traditional cluster developments as actual conservation developments, as opposed to trying to find something else to call this. I think we should use the correct terminology from our comprehensive plan in those sorts of developments, is my thought process on that.
I have some questions.
Any questions of staff?
Yeah, everybody, I guess. So you said it was their approval. What was the difference earlier versus now? Like this is what they like, or they approve, or they agree with.
So,
what's the difference in those two things from earlier and now?
which two things?
What we spoke about earlier, and then now this is what they want. So, I mean, is it really?
So what I'm trying to clarify is that earlier you had suggested that we sit down with the Board of County Commissioners, and the Board of County Commissioners give the Planning Commission very direct.
Just gather ideas together.
However, what I'm saying is this board, this Planning Commission, has historically not been on the same page about private roads as the Board of County Commissioners. I'm telling you the reason that I didn't bring you back design criteria is because direction to me as staff from the board has been very, very clear. I'm letting you know that what that direction has been. However, as a commission, like I said, you do not have to make that recommendation. I'm just letting you know why I came back the way that I came back, so that you didn't think that I just decided that your request wasn't substantial, is why I have told you that.
Okay, one more question. What is the difference in cluster development, high density, all those things? Because I've seen all those things in paperwork. Is there a difference?
Yeah, so a high density development is obviously the
If
we want to,
very small lots.
Very small lots.
3 per acre lots, typically.
Yeah, and even that, depending on where you're at, I mean, if you're in New York City, that's pretty low density, right?
It could be less or
That's
more,
spacious.
but 3 for this area is fairly, isn't that right, Joe?
3 per acre.
About 3 per acre is probably fairly common for a high density.
I would just want to make sure that nothing else would be thrown in there development-wise that basically just wording it as only cluster development. It would hurt.
A cluster development, and when I first started, they had us going to marketing school classes, and I wish they would do that again. But,
Oh, don't worry, it's coming.
Okay. And cluster development is one of the things that they showed us. And a cluster development is actually where the houses are closer together than what your zoning would be. However, they're still not denser than the zoning requirement. And let's go back to what we approved for the foster care. So everybody remember that?
Yes.
There was, the density was still there, but the houses weren't necessarily going to be on 2.5 acre lots. They were going to be in a different conformity. Also, there's usually a lot of green space on there. The ones that we showed that I guess they have a lot back east on there, the houses are next to pretty much real close together, but the back of the houses, the yards are small that belong to the houses, but there's a big green space in between them and the next houses in the back of them. And so you have a very small front yard, you have very little side yards, you have a small backyard, but you have a real big green space in the back where they could have a swimming pool, they could have ball fields and tennis courts and everything else like that. That would be a cluster development. You won't see too many of them in the county because of the big zoning regulations. The one that we had for the Foster family was probably something like you would see here, where the houses would be there still be the zoning regulations would be there, but that the private roads, and I think that was a private road. That was approved as a private road, and like that, I see where the I don't know why that was needed to be a private road except for cost of development like that. Also, I think in there you said they should have only one access. That has two accesses, and I don't see a problem with two accesses like that one had.
So that one, they
Not really had.
they're not allowed really to use that second access, and in fact, I believe they, as we've worked through this, they're talking about cutting that off completely.
Cutting it off. I don't see why. I would think if there's something that's blocking the front and there's a way to get in from another direction, I would think that's good. You would want that in any other subdivision, so that's 2.5 acres, so I don't know why you would not want that on one of these, but that is what I was taught, and if I'm wrong, Ryan, and you guys tell me, because that's what I was told what a cluster development is.
That's a pretty good explanation of it.
I just want to make sure that down the road, because it seems like in the past we've said things and then a meeting or two later we're like completely on the opposite side. I don't know if maybe, you guys are old, maybe forgetful, but I'm probably am too, so I didn't know if there was things that we're forgetting or what, but I just want to make sure it encompasses everything and nothing's going to slither under the table here.
It will. There's people going to not realize what and you saw, did you see the thing from David?
He knows when I come out of my chair.
That was in the packet this morning. Here, when we got here, there was
from Dave Litchin?
It was on a...
Yeah, I've read everything.
Yeah, you read it?
Yeah, off to the side.
Yeah, it is. People do think when they live in a house, they think it belongs to the county, and the county will get calls on it, even though they might be told when they bought the property it was a private road, and they still call the county. The county will tell them it's too bad, but you're on a private road, and you knew that when you bought it, but that's still going to be a problem down the road, and that's kind of why I don't like private roads. I think the road should be county standards for safety reasons, for fire equipment and police equipment and everything else. But again, that's any more questions of staff, or do you have anything to say before we open up the public comment? Or do we have to open up the public?
It is a public hearing item.
Okay, but we opened it up last time, didn't we?
It wasn't last time we did.
I don't have. You did.
But I think we've changed the wording a little bit. I'd like to hear from the public.
No, I don't think they changed the words.
Well, yeah, I think they did.
Pardon me. Much.
No?
It wasn't much. It wasn't much.
No, it's not much.
Joe, you want to talk? Okay, so we don't have to.
Well, I'll open it up just for the sake to say we did it if we need to, but I know we had it open.
No, we did. I can't remember if we closed it or not, but
Yeah, we did.
it's on your minutes.
Yeah.
You should speak
Well,
and
not-
fill me in on anything that I might be confused about.
Okay, so we're
Chris,
at the
what
fact additional information be presented. That was what you actually did already. Okay, so I'm going to close the public comment portion. If we did open it, it's closed now, but we didn't close it before. It is closed now. Any questions or comments, commissioners?
I have a question to the staff. My question to the staff is, what will the staff be reviewing on road and drainage submittals by a licensed engineer?
Staff won't be.
Well, that's what it says you will be doing.
So, no, what will be required is, let's say that I decide to build one of these cluster developments and I'm going to have a private road. It is my responsibility to find an engineer who will design that road and give me the drainage on it, and and they're going to stamp it and say, this is what you need to do for this development. And it's my job to build it to that. The county, all we're going to do is say, did you do that? Okay, then we're going to put it in the file. You can't come in and say, oh, I'm going to build a private drive or a cross-access easement, excuse me, but I don't have anybody who's engineered it.
So you're telling me if you can get an engineer, just stamp it as a dirt road, you'd pass it?
Yep.
Not doing anything.
But you're going to get it, too. I guarantee it.
Private road.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definition of private road.
Why isn't there a bare minimum or a requirement for something?
Want a bare minimum.
Mr. DeMoro, I would highly recommend that you come to the work sessions that we have had on these.
Have I ever been invited? I don't know when they are.
There- Like I said, I've had many, many work sessions with our Board of County Commissioners, so is our engineering department. This is the direction we were given. I believe there is a general consensus among the board that we want Leavenworth County to be open for business and open for residential development, and maybe there's a belief that private roads will spur more residential development in the county.
Maybe now, but later, terrible headaches.
Agreed.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. No motion.
Motion dies for lack of a motion.
Can we discuss what are obviously I know what your concerns are, but what are your concerns about making a motion? Like, I know you all have thoughts on this.
I'll make a motion, and I know I can do that because we
You
talked
can
about
do that.
I
Wow.
can do
Write
that.
this
So I'll
down.
make a motion. Case number DV 018 to cross access easement. I move to deny the request.
I'll second it.
Never had myself making a motion, so I'll have to do that.
Probably haven't checked your box out over there.
Yeah, I know. I never had to do that. Okay. A motion on the floor with a second to deny case number DEV 20-080, Article 43, cross access easement. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, if we deny this easement, somebody comes in and wants to build a cluster development, what kind of rules do you have to go by now if we don't approve this?
County regulations, county roads.
Right, yeah, you'd have
Regular
to,
county road.
today you would have to
County road
build
standards.
the county road. to county road standards.
So I might be a little confused here because I don't fully understand this. But if you were to vote no on this, you're saying absolutely no to private roads. No matter,
Yeah.
no matter.
We vote yes, I
Yes.
vote to deny.
Yes.
I move to deny the request. So if you vote yes, you're saying no private roads. If you vote no, you're saying that you want to look into private roads. I mean,
But they need to have a regulation on them of what they can and can't be.
We do
Mr.
county
Morrow,
road standards.
I think so. We are voting on this policy as it is before you. Each of you, when you vote, you should, whatever, if it is yes or no, you should give your reasoning. So I hear you, and you say, if I vote yes to deny on this, I'm saying no private roads whatsoever. Well, maybe that's not what you want to say. I don't know what you want to say, so I'm not putting words in your mouth. But if you thought, well, I would be supportive of private roads if they had standards, but I'm not supportive of this policy, that's what you would need to say when you are voting.
Okay.
But we have to vote on the motion to begin with, and then you can explain
Yes.
each one of them if you'd like.
Yes.
all right. And any further discussion on this? Okay, now, if you vote yes, I just want to make sure everybody understands. If you vote yes, that means we deny the change in the regulations. If you vote no for it, means that you don't want to deny it, but it doesn't mean you necessarily agree with it either. You're just voting no on what's written here and the motion that I made. Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Alex, tomorrow.
I want to vote no because I think there should be regulations specifying what each road should be. Like relating to what this morning was talked about.
So you would,
it'd be vote
would
yes.
want to approve this policy as it is before you.
No, that's what I'm saying. I am totally confused by this whole
So
thing.
you maybe want to vote yes because you want
I think
requirements.
we need to be
Yes.
made more. Maybe I'm missing some on this, but I don't understand this very much. And I think there should be private roads out there, but I think we should come to an agreement on what the stipulations for those roads should be. So, I mean, what's the difference in the county putting in a gravel road? I mean, because we don't want a bunch of gravel roads built when we're trying to do dust abatement and get rid of those, in my opinion.
Well, if somebody were to build a cross-access easement that was a gravel road, it wouldn't be eligible for dust abatement. It wouldn't be eligible
Correct.
for maintenance from.
But I don't want to see a gravel road put in. I want to see something put in other than gravel or dirt. You know, if that is.
Well, we have county standards that require a road be built to county standards currently.
But voting
That's what we
no for
have.
that would eliminate those.
So you're voting on this policy.
As it's
Do you
written.
agree with the way they presented to us, or you don't agree with the way they presented to you?
So you've been voting yes to deny.
You're voting
Yes to
yes to deny this. If you're voting no, that means you want that policy. And no, it could be any.
I
kind
want to
of-
vote whatever, put some regulations on it.
This doesn't really.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to tell him how to vote, so.
I can't either.
But he voted no, we'll continue on.
I'm done.
Mark Kenny,
Yes.
and that's yes to deny. John Matthews,
Abstain.
because you weren't here last week,
Correct.
okay, or last month, I'm sorry.
Right.
Jeff Spink,
Yes.
deny. Jeanette Ullman,
Yes to deny.
okay, Rocky Hempel,
Yes to deny.
Will Smith,
Yes to deny.
and I vote yes. So the motion carries 6-1 and 1 abstain. Okay. Anything else?
I have a quick question. Do we know the status of the comprehensive plan?
Yeah, we do. I should have a final draft by the middle of next week. I will give that one more look through, and hopefully we will get a planning commission meeting scheduled. Our September regular meeting is very, very busy. We may be looking at, I'm hoping we'll be looking at having a special meeting in September, but I'm not going to make any promises on that because at this point, that would assume that I don't have to have any more changes. But hopefully we are getting very close and going to get that wrapped up.
Wonderful.
soon.
Thank you.
Crystal, I know it's a little ways away, but November, our normal meeting, I think, would be on the 11th, which is Veterans Day. So would we be looking at the week after that, or?
We moved it,
Do we have that on our calendar?
it's on our calendar. I feel like we
Great.
moved it a day. Stephanie can pull it up really, really quick.
So like Thursday or something, or?
I think we moved it to a Tuesday,
Oh, forward.
to the Tuesday before.
One second.
Stay tuned. And we'll be.
So exciting.
I do have a question. Back to this thing. Next time we have something, could there have been more information with this?
What kind of information would?
I didn't understand it, basically. So, well, you can read it, but we have talked about it last meeting, and we talked about private roads many times. And I feel like we go from time to time to time, and yes, everybody pretty much gets the same thing, but there has been multiple times that people have said something that contradicts what they said last time. And just want to know if there's any more information that could be given.
I mean, as far as this policy is concerned, I feel like we have given you all of the information that I have. This policy, the way that these get written is for them to go into our zoning and subdivision regulations. So they get written in a very specific way that I understand can sometimes be difficult to understand if you're not used to, reading this book on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But that's why it gets written that way, because if this were to be adopted, those are the standards. If somebody were to flip to our regulations, they would say, well, this is what I can do.
So then they would read this and they would go to the standards and say, this is what we could do here and this is what we can't
Right.
do.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I just think it'd be nice to kind of have those.
Well,
Or maybe
that
I
is
could,
it.
or maybe I could ask for.
That was the regulation that was
So
proposed.
just this bases what a road can and can't be. Just this.
For a cross-access easement. Not for existing county roads, not for roads that are being built to county standards. That's a whole other animal, if you will, and we have lots of rules about those. That policy is just for cross-access easements, not for public roads.
I did forget that the Board of County Commissioners will consider this item at 9 a.m. on September 2nd.
Okay.
I didn't want to forget.
We'll be there.
So they can vote themselves a policy.
Did you find out about
Yes,
November?
it is Tuesday, November 10th.
Okay, wonderful.
Tuesday.
Anything else?
Anybody? We're adjourned.